Hi everyone! Welcome back to the channel, guys. I hope you're doing amazing. I'm happy to see you today for another video. And for the video, we'll talk about the alphabet. Of course, l'alphabet. L'alphabet, the alphabet, is the most important thing when it comes to learning a new language because of that, once you learn all of the letters, you're going to be able to read some words and help on the pronunciation. So first, l'alphabet, one of the most important things that you need to know when you want to speak a new language. And here we're going to focus on the French alphabet. So, introduction. En français, il y a 26 lettres. In French, there are 26 letters. Apprendre l'alphabet aide à épeler ton nom. Learn the alphabet is going to help you to spell your name. Comprendre les sons. Understand the sounds. Et lire correctement. To read correctly. Okay, this is the French alphabet. We're going to start by reading all of them. So careful, we're going to read the letters. So it's going to be the sound and the name of the letters, okay? A, B, C, D, E. Careful with the E. For the E in English, in French, it's going to be E. F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. Now you see you have in black all of the way that you're supposed to be pronouncing it, okay? That's going to help you maybe if you struggle a little bit. You just have to read what you see in black. Now let's focus on the most complicated ones. A, B, C, D, pretty easy. When it comes to the E, we're going to say E, F, G. Careful with the G and the J because in French it's the opposite. So the G will be G and the J would be J. Careful. Donc G, H, I, J. Donc the J we say J. K, L, M, N, O, P. For the Q, we say Q, Q. For the R, I know it's maybe complicated. This is the most complicated sound when it's the French language, but the R really has to be from the throat. So careful, we don't say R, or I don't know. Every time that you have to pronounce this sound, it has to be from the throat, so it has to be R. If you struggle a little bit, 2 little tips. First one, you put your hand on your throat, and when you pronounce that sound, it's supposed to shake. Okay? Like you're a little tiger. And if it's so complicated, I would suggest you maybe to try. You take a glass of water, you pull the water in your mouth, and you do and this is going to help you to pronounce the R sound. It needs to be R. Then we have S, T, U. The U, we say U. Careful. U, V. For the W, it's not the same as in English, like we say like W. In French, the W is going to be the double V. So because we say V, V, the W, W. X, Y, Z. This is how we pronounce all of the letters, okay? Now let's see if you want to spell a word. For example, I wrote the word chocolate. In French is chocolat. If you want to spell that, you're going to say C, H, O, C, O, L, A, T. These are all of the letters that I'm using in my words chocolat, okay? Then, if I want to spell the word house in French, it's maison, okay? But if I want to write that word, I'm going to be writing it that way. If I want to spell all of those letters, I'm going to say M, A, I, S, O, N. Now let's try with French. French, we say français. Same thing. If I want to spell that word, F, R, A, N, C, A, I, S. And then I wrote my name. So you can try to do the same. If you struggle or if you're just learning French language, try to spell your name and try to pronounce each letter of your name. So my name is Melanie and I'm going to spell it M, E, L, A, N, I, E. And now you know all of your letters, okay? But of course, as we said, it's not because in the word I am writing it that way that I'm going to be pronouncing it that way, okay? For example, when I say chocolat, I'm not pronouncing the T. I'm not going to say chocolat. I say chocolat. The T is mute. But the T is still here. So if I need to spell it, I'm going to spell my T, okay? So now I'm going to focus on each letter and the sound that they can have. Let's focus on the letter C. That is la lettre C. La lettre C, the letter C, can have multiple sounds. Depending on where it's placed in a word, what's the letter that is going to follow or not, you're going to have a specific sound. Let's focus on the main sound of the letter C. The main sound would be the K sound. For example, in the word carotte, clavier. Clavier is a keyboard. Clavier, cours, that means class. You see here, my letter C has the same sound. It's the K sound. Carotte, clavier, cours. This is the main sound that the letter is supposed to make, okay? But we have some exceptions, meaning if you have that C letter, followed then by either a I or a E. In French, the I is the E is the E. You're going to pronounce the C not as a K sound anymore, but as a S sound. For example, cire. Cire means wax. You see that now, because it's followed by a I, I'm going to say cire, not kir. Every time you have C plus I, the C has the S sound, cire. Same for place. Place, I say place. I don't pronounce my last E, but because there's an E after my C, I'm going to pronounce my C with the S sound, place. So main sound would be the K. Carotte, clavier, cours. If there's an I or an E, it's changing and switching into a S sound. Cire, place. But we also have another exception. When you look at the S sound, it's just with the I and the E, right? But if you look at the words that I wrote below, you see that here on that C, we have a little thing below. That little thing, it's called cédille. When you have that C with the little thing under it, you're going to be pronouncing that letter, that C, with the S sound, even if it's not followed by an E or an I. Let me explain. You see that here I have the word. It's called boy. In French, we say garçon. Okay? You see that after that C, I have a O. O is not an E, it's not an I, so I'm supposed to say garçon, right? But because I have my C with my little cédille, I'm going to say garçon. Same for façade. You see that carotte, it's followed by a. Carotte, I'm pronouncing my C like carotte, K sound. Façade, in the word façade, I have my C with my cédille. That means that this time, I'm not going to say facade, I'm going to say façade. So keep in mind, regular rule is the K sound. We're always going to pronounce the C, K. Then if I have either I or E, I'm going to pronounce it like a S sound. And every time you have a word with a C, cédille, same thing, you're always going to pronounce the C like a S sound. Carotte, clavier, cours, cire, place, garçon, façade. This is for the T. The letter E. In French, E, we say E. Careful. When it comes to that letter, we have multiple accents. Depending on the accent, the sound is going to be different. The first one is the E that has no accent. If there's no accent, it's going to be the same sound as the name of the letter, which is E. So you're just going to say E. Example, if I want to say petit, petit, P, E, T, I, T, petit. My E has no accent, I'm going to pronounce E. Then we have the high accent and the low accent. If you want to say the high accent is the accent that goes up. You're going to say E, such as my name, Mélanie. I have a high accent. I'm going to pronounce it E. If you have the accent that goes down this time, if it goes down, you're going to open your mouth bigger and you're going to pronounce it as a E, such as mère. Mère means mother. Père means father. And then you have the last one. The last one is what we call accent circonflexe. Accent circonflexe is the little hat. This is going to be a short sound. For example, you know that when I say Mélanie, mère, the accent is long. If I have this one, I'm going to pronounce it short way, such as fête, that means party, fête. So you just have to see the accent, if it's a long one, such as the high one, et, the low one, or the accent circonflexe, that is fête, that is a short one. Okay, that's pretty much it for la lettre E. Now, we have la lettre G. Donc, G in English. La lettre G, it's practically the same rule as the letter C, okay? So, let's see. The main sound of that letter is the G sound. So, for example, I'm going to say to scratch, gratter, G, gratter. An eraser, gomme. A cake, gâteau, G. My letter is supposed to be pronouncing G, but careful, it's the same rule as the C. If I have an I or an E, I'm going to switch my sound not from a G, but to J now. Giraffe. Plage. Plage means the beach. Same thing. If I have my I or my E, I'm going to pronounce my letter like a J. Giraffe, plage. But there's another exception. That exception is if you have that letter, donc le G, the G, with a U. And then after that U, you have the vowel E or the vowel I. Then the U, it's blocking the J sound. So you're going to go back to the natural G sound. For example, the first one, we're going to say vague. Vague, it's a wave. Vague, I'm not going to say vage. I would have said vage if there was no U because it would have been G plus E. Now that I have my U, it's blocking my J sound and it's going back to the natural G sound. Vague. Figue. It's the same thing. So every time you have the natural G, you're going to say G. If you have the I or the E, that's going to follow the letter J. But every time you have G, U, donc the G and the U, go back to the G sound. Okay, that's pretty much it for just the letter on their own. Now we're going to talk about les diphthongs. What are the diphthongs? It's when you put two letters together and they create another sound. So you're going to see that every time you have the O and the I together, which is the O et le I, they make the sound wa. Every time. Moi, myself. Toi, yourself. Boire, to drink. Every time you have the OI, pronouncing like a wa sound. Then we have the O and the U. In French, le O et le U. Those together makes the sound OU, such as fou. Fou means crazy. Nous means we. Every time you have the O and the U, OU sound. Then we have the A and the I, in French, le A et le I, and the I and the I, which is le E et le I. This makes the sound eh. Every time you have those two together, eh sound. Lait, that means milk. Reine, that means queen. Donc, little recap. O-I, O-I, wa. Moi, toi, boire. O-U, O-U, ou. Fou, nous. A-I, A-I, or E-I, E-I, eh, les, reine. Now we have the A-U, donc which is the A-U, or the E-A-U, E-A-U. Those two diphthongs makes the sound O. Same sound as the letter O. Donc, for example, if I want to say water, you see that it's just E-A-U. So I'm just going to say O, just the sound O. If I want to say hot, chaud. I don't pronounce my D because it's a consonant that is not an R. When it's at the end of a word, it's always mute. So chaud, that means hot. That's all. Donc, moi, toi, boire, fou, nous, les, reines, au, chaud. And then we have the EU or the OEU. Donc, EU, OEU. This makes the sound E. is the same sound as the E that has no letter. That has no accent. Sound. If I'm going to say blue, bleu. If I want to say sister, sœur. Always the same sound. Donc, wa, ou, e, o, Okay, now little exercise for you guys. You have to tell me between those three words which one has the sound that we want. For example, first question is, quel mot contient le son wa? In what word do we have the sound wa? Quel mot contient le son e? What word has the sound e? And the last one, what word has the sound oo? So you try to read that and you try to answer those three questions by finding the right word. If you struggle, don't hesitate to reach to us on our social media. Try to practice on that pronunciation. It is super useful when you want to learn a new language. And of course, if you want to spell your name, try to spell some words in French, letter by letter, and then you pronounce the full thing. It is super useful when you want to learn a new language. And this is what you're going to do, and you have to do if you want to learn French. I hope that this video was useful, and I wish you all a good day, and I just cannot wait to see you next week for another video. Salut!